But we just uncovered documents that show the CIA had folks involved in the response to January 6th. Now, I got a question for you. What if I had told you 3 weeks ago, and I said, I think the CIA was involved somehow on January 6th. Somehow they were involved somehow. I'd probably get thrown off the internet, right? For promoting a conspiracy theory. But we just uncovered documents that show the CIA had folks involved in the response to January 6th. And here's my video first highlighting it.
Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with some massive news. Judicial Watch just uncovered that the CIA was involved in the response to the January 6th disturbances on Capitol Hill. In fact, CIA bomb technicians were sent over to the RNC and DNC where those pipe bombs supposedly were found. On top of that, there were CIA dog teams on standby in response to January 6th. Now, there are a lot of questions that are raised by our disclosures. First of all, why did it take Judicial Watch heavy lifting in federal court to get access to these documents after all these years? Why didn't the Pelosi January 6th committee, even as corrupt as it was, not disclose the CIA involvement? What was the CIA involved for? Were they investigating foreign intelligence operations? Were they investigating American citizens? What else have they done related to January 6th? All these questions you can be sure your Judicial Watch will pursue in federal court if necessary.
That was a pretty good summary, huh? Isn't it incredible? So we had asked for records from the Department of Justice. What did we ask for? Last year. We asked for records and communications regarding shots being fired inside the U.S. Capitol, as well as requests for Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Explosives Special Response Team assistance on January 6th. So remember, they had these pipe bombs that were supposedly found at the RNC and DNC. And so we were interested in the responses there. So we got a bunch of text messages. Of course, they ignored our request, and we had to sue in federal court. Again, this is June of 2023. We filed the lawsuit. We probably had asked, we asked in, no, we filed the lawsuit in August. We asked for the records in June. So we've been waiting almost a year for these records. And it took a federal lawsuit to get them out to us. And so we got these ATF text messages that detail the CIA's involvement. And there are kind of two sets of text messages, and they're very interesting to read because they do talk about, as I say, we were asking about the reports of shots fired. The only shots were fired were the shots fired, at least in the Capitol, the shot fired at poor Ashley Babbitt by Lieutenant Michael Byrd, U.S. Capitol police officer who, in our view, unlawfully shot her, illicitly shot her for no good reason, popped out, shot her. Dead. And we're representing her family in a wrongful death action right now, a federal lawsuit against the U.S. government for $30 million. So here you can see the ATF, basically all these panic text messages about the disturbance on January 6th. But what was most interesting in them to me was the involvement of the Secret Service. So here's the first text message detailing the involvement of the Central Intelligence Agency, not the Secret Service, the CIA. Several CIA dog teams on standby near the southwest area of the Capitol. What were they doing there? Why were they on standby? Were they called ahead of time? I don't know. First time we're hearing about it. And then there were technicians sent to where those pipe bombs were. CIA bomb techs. Why were they down there? Now typically the CIA is not supposed to be involved in domestic operations like that. So what was the purpose of their being involved? I mean, this is the D.C. area. We don't need extra folks like the CIA being involved here typically. Was there a foreign intelligence component that they were investigating? What else did they do? I don't know, but we're going to ask more questions and try to find out. But these are pretty extraordinary records, don't you agree? The CIA was involved in the response to January 6th. Were they called ahead of time and told to stand by? Who talked to them? Why were they put on standby? Or did they just show up in an emergency fashion on January 6th? I don't know. Why didn't Pelosi's rump January 6th committee disclose this? Where's the media been? Where have Republicans been? Do you think it's important that CIA resources were deployed in response to the January 6th? And I don't even know if it was in response. Maybe they were just waiting around because they knew something was going to happen. I had a good interview, we should link the interview below, with Glenn Beck about this. But this is pretty shocking. CIA do anything else related to January 6th? Is anyone going to ask the question other than Judicial Watch? I hope so. Maybe Congress can finally do something after they spend all of our money. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.